Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks, coming to you from one of my favourite cities in Portugal, and that is what I'm going to talk about today, some of the pros and cons of this city. I'm about 100 kilometres north of Lisbon in a place called Caldas da Rainha. We're going to have a look around the city and, as I said, some of the pros and cons of living in a city like this here in Portugal, so stay tuned. Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare, and I'll tell you a little bit more about Skillshare during the video. So let's go and have a look at this city, Caldas da Rainha. Now we're about 100 kilometres north of Lisbon and about 250 kilometres south of Porto, and we're about 10 kilometres, I'd say, from the coast. That's one of the characteristics of this city, is that it's not a coastal city. So it's not as cool as some of those coastal cities can be, but it doesn't get too hot in this city either, from my experience. And as you can see behind me, we've got shopping centres, we've got great parks, and this is, as I said before, an attractive city here in central Portugal. Now this area of Portugal is known as the Silver Coast, and as you guys know, I have a house not far from here in an area called Peniche, which is about 30 kilometres away. But I like to come to Caldas because there's a lot more services here than there are in Peniche. For example, if you want to get things done, this is a city that you need to come to. If you want to get telecommunications things done, if you want to get administrative things done, this is the city that you need to come to in this area. You can also go to the regional capital, which is Leiria, which is further up the highway here to the north, but here in Caldas you can get most things done, which is important here in Portugal. And of course, one of the first things you do before you get started here in Portugal is have a coffee, Café Pingalo, which is what I've got here. And as we know, Portugal has some of the best coffee in the world. So I'm just going to enjoy this. Now, this is a city of about 35,000, maybe 40,000 people. Not exactly sure on the exact amount, but it's not a big city. I think it's a medium-sized city, and it's big enough to have all of the services that I said before, but small enough to not have that big city style of living that you get, for example, in a city like Lisbon or Porto, which are the two biggest cities here in Portugal. So it's a medium-sized city, as I said, and for me, that's the advantage of this city. And another thing about this city, Caldas, is that it's very well connected to other parts of Portugal. For example, Lisbon by rail, you can get a train to the capital city Lisbon. You can also get to the capital of this region, Leiria, also by train. A couple of other destinations as well, and it is also well connected by motorway. There is a motorway which comes straight up from Lisbon called the A8. It's a nice drive up through this part of Portugal, very green part of the country, lots of eucalyptus trees, and it's a pleasant drive here from Lisbon. But for me, one of the standouts of this city is the park. Portugal, as I have mentioned in other videos, has great parks, and this one is no exception. I've spoken about it in other videos, and every time I come to this city, I visit this park because it's an absolute treat to walk through these gardens. And if we go for a walk through the park, you can see what I'm talking about. Not a lot of people around, very shady, and it's a great place to get out of the hustle and bustle of the downtown of this city, which we'll see in a few minutes' time. And one thing I will say is that parks in Portugal are normally very well kept. And if I turn the camera around, we can see those garden workers there, keeping the grounds nice and clean and also well watered. We can see there the grass. And as I said a minute ago, I never get tired of this park, and you can see why. And there's even cultural activities you can do in this park as well. For example, the museum that we can see over there on my right. And if you want to hire a boat and go for a row around this little pond here, you can do that as well. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, this city is not on the coast. It's about 10 kilometers away. The closest beaches are a place called Foz de Arello, and you can also get to places like Peniche fairly easily. Nazaré is not far away either. So there are different beach areas that you can get to fairly easily from here, but I will say that the beaches close to this town do get very, very busy, especially in the summer months. The beach that I mentioned, Foz, not only has open beaches where you can catch waves, go surfing and things like that, it also has a lagoon area where there are no waves at all, very calm water, and a very popular place to take young children. And there's also some great restaurants in that part of the coast as well, so you can get away for the day, go and have something to eat and enjoy those nice coastal views, something that you won't get in this city. Now I'll interrupt the video here to say thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity and learn new skills. Invest in yourself and your personal growth. Have a specific skill that you're trying to learn? Skillshare is the perfect place to start. From photography and illustration to organic gardening, cooking, DIY and more, you can find classes that will match your goals and interests. One of my biggest passions is travel videography, and on Skillshare I have found classes that have helped me improve my skills in this area, and I love reaching out to other members in the Skillshare community. And if you're planning to move to a new country to work online as an English teacher, the Skillshare classes, How to Land Your First Online Teaching Job and Earn Great Pay by Nick Nabelsky, will help you do just that. The main advantage of Skillshare for me is that it is ad-free, so you can stay in the zone while you're exploring new skills. There are new premium classes launched each week, so there is always something new to discover. And the first 1,000 people to use the link or my code SpainSpeaks will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So click the link below and take advantage of the offer and check out Skillshare for yourself. Now back to the video. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the history of this town. You can look that up on Wikipedia, but basically the name, Caldas da Rainha, obviously Rainha meaning queen in Portuguese, and Caldas I think means hot springs. And apparently the story goes that the queen was travelling up the road at the time, back in the 14th or 15th century, don't know exactly when it was, and she smelt something that was strange to her, the sulphur smell in the air, and she was curious about that. They stopped and she found these hot springs, and of course she founded this city, I think, based on those hot springs as a place for people to come and relax back in the day. But then again, don't quote me on that history. If you want more history about this place, look it up on Wikipedia. And a curious fact is that there's also a place in Spain called Caldas da Rainha, which is in Galicia, north of Portugal, but it has nothing to do apparently with this city. So Caldas da Rainha here, or Queen Springs, and Caldas da Reis, which is king, up in the north of Spain in Galicia. Curious fact. And here we can see the spas that were founded by that queen back in the day. And as we can see, Balneario Novo, this is obviously the new balneario or the new spa. And if we go around here, we can also see a hospital, a thermal hospital, Hospital Termal, and we can see there Hospital Reina Doña Leonor, Patrimonio do Estado, so it's state patrimony, and that was the queen in question that, as I said before, back in the day founded this town. And this whole square here, or praça in Portuguese, is dedicated to that Queen Leonor. And here's another example of some of the historical buildings in Portugal. As you can see, they look a bit run down, could probably use a coat of paint, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. In my opinion, it gives Portugal that charm that sets it apart from other countries. In Spain, everything looks new. Here in Portugal, these older buildings give a certain type of charm, in my opinion. But hey, that's just me. Another example here of the Patrimonio do Estado, state patrimony or state assets, these buildings here. And we'll take a walk through here and get an idea what it's like. But you could just imagine the royal families walking through here back in the day when Portugal had a royal family. Of course, now it is a republic, so the royal family is well and truly done and dusted. But as you can see here, walking through a place like this going back in time of what the royals probably did back in the day, and most likely this park was all for themselves. Now Caldas is also a very popular city with foreign residents, a big expat community in this part of Portugal, and I can see why. Absolutely fantastic part of Portugal to live in. Not as busy as a big city, as I said before, like Lisbon or Porto, and you've got a charm of a classic Portuguese city here with all the services that you need to live well. And apparently there are good hospitals in this area, there are good medical services, great restaurants, so that's one of the reasons why it is popular with foreign residents. I don't like to use the word expats. People get triggered when they hear the word expat, so I prefer foreign residents. But as I said, here in Caldas, a big expat or foreign resident community. And one of the reasons there are so many foreign people living in this part of Portugal is because of markets like this one here, the traditional fruit market that is held every day, I believe, in this square. I think they call it the Praça da Fruta. That's not the official name, but that's the common name here. It's called the Praça da República. We'll see the street sign up there, Praça da República, República in Portuguese. And as we can see, a popular fruit market with some of the best produce you will find. Look at the size of these tomatoes here. And the price, let me have a look. 1.20 a kilo. O preço de kilo, 1,20, não é? 1,20. Okay, obrigado. So €1.20 for those tomatoes. More tomatoes over here. Carrots, lemons, aubergines, courgettes. All of the vegetables that are in season this time of year. And this is a fantastic part of Portugal for produce, this central coast area. Fantastic produce in this part of Portugal, and as you can see, it is on display here today. Onions, potatoes, melons, more carrots, more lemons, pumpkins, apples. If I were living here, I would come to this market every day for my fresh fruit and veg, and as we saw, it's not expensive. €1.20 for those tomatoes. In Madrid, I'd be paying around €3.50, maybe €4 a kilo for that very same tomato. So here, an absolute bargain. And there we go, the popular name of this square, Praça da Fruta. And not only is the fruit and veg fantastic in this part of Portugal, but the wine is fantastic as well. Plenty of local wine varieties, red wines, white wines, rosés, and as we saw there, Portuguese are also starting to make whiskey as well. So watch out, Scots. I also love the colours here in Portugal. The colours of the buildings, the ones that have been painted recently in bright colours, greens, yellows, pinks, reds, and that is also a standout for me. Not like in Spain where most buildings are grey, fairly ugly. Not much colour going on in Spain in my opinion, but as we can see in this street here, I'll turn the camera around, we've got a yellow building here, we've got a pink building here, and also the colour of the bricks of this apartment block on the corner here, also quite attractive in my opinion. A nice dark red colour. So the colours of Portugal also a standout for me. Now it's Tuesday, we're at the end of July, and we're walking down the main street here, or one of the main streets. As we can see, not a lot of people around. Another characteristic that I like about this place here is that the streets are not that crowded. There are some days when they're busier than others. For example, if you come here in the afternoon, people get out and about, and but now, which would be the peak shopping time when people should be out and about shopping, as we can see, not a lot of people on the main street. And as I said before, this is a 30,000, 35,000 population in the city. Big enough to have the services, as I have said, but small enough to feel comfortable. Now we'll go for a walk down the high street. I think it's the high street here. It's one of the main shopping streets. Hotel there as well. A few people out and about today. I've got a guy down here playing the accordion. If I had some money, I'd give him a tip, but unfortunately I don't. So I'll just listen to his music. The culture of Portugal, magnificent. Another standout for me are these little small laneways or alleyways that you can walk up and down here in Caldas. Plenty of them, very quiet, and you've got a nice little coffee bar here as well, where you can get a bite to eat and a nice cup of coffee. Fantastic. Now it's about 1:45, as we can see, lots of people out and about having their lunch at one of these many outdoor seating areas here in Caldas. Very enjoyable weather to be sitting outside today, around 25 degrees Celsius. So fantastic weather to enjoy an outdoor meal. And basically these outdoor seating areas are everywhere here. And not only is Portuguese cuisine second to none in my opinion, there's also a slow food culture in this country, which is fantastic. Everything stops for lunch from 12 to 2 more or less. People sit down, have a nice meal, 3-course meal sometimes, something quicker if you like, and that is something else that I love about this part of Portugal and Portugal in general, the slow food Mediterranean culture. Even though technically this is not the Mediterranean, it's not like Spain in that sense, but the food culture is very similar, Spain and Portugal. So Mediterranean food culture in my opinion. So pros of this city: great public transport system, well connected to cities like Lisbon, great parks like the one that I have here on my right, great restaurant scene, fantastic lifestyle in this part of Portugal, coffee culture second to none, food culture second to none. What more can you ask for? And it's also an easy city to get around on foot, so you probably won't need a car in this city, which is also a pro. On that note, I'll wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. If you have been to this part of Portugal, please let me know in the comment section below what you thought of this city. Let us know whether it is a good city to live in or not. Please leave your opinion. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Até logo.